right. Starting soon. Let's put this on. Become
Oh
online.
man. Let's see what my camera looks. Oh shit, where's my webcam? I'm using it. Fuck, one sec.
All right.
One sec, man.
We're live. So, what's up,
My
YouTube? What's
face.
up, Twitch? We're starting an hour earlier today just to try a new timeline. And yeah,
man.
Deji's here, just getting his camera set up. Yeah, Dej, do you want to touch on like this week's subject or like introduce it, how it came to you?
All right, so this week's subject, I was talking with FJ and I was like, "Hey, man, what should we talk about this week?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Damn, what's happening in pop culture right now?" Hold on, let me turn this on. It's just
Cool.
And I was like, "What's happening with? Oh, why is this not working? What's happening with pop culture right now?" So there's a Kanye interview. It's been buzzing around. And if she was like, "Oh man, that's 2 hours. I gotta watch the whole thing." And then he's like, "Oh, what about this Will Smith thing that's been going around?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I've been seeing that." And oh, can you see me?
Like there's a flash of light sometimes, and then there you go.
What the hell is this?
I think your thing's blocked.
Oh, that's what's happening. It's using the other webcam instead of this one. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm all tilted and shit.
So yeah, I have it right up right now. On the podcast example, the
I'm
gay
like purple.
interview
I look like Thanos.
on Revolt, Kanye West on Donda, Drake marriage with Kim Kardashian, his legendary career, and more. Drink Champs. I guess it's by Nori and DJ EFN.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of this show before, and thank you for introducing me to it.
It's a pretty interesting show. But yeah, so Will Smith is doing this whole thing, I guess, where he's documenting his fitness journey. And I was like, okay, that could be a premise for the podcast because, like, that's something we can all relate to, which is transformation. And the transformation of ourselves from, like, one stage where we're not fully satisfied with who we are to another stage where we're trying to get closer to that. So I'm sure everyone's experienced that at some point. So I was like, hey, let's talk about that.
That's fair. So, have you actually been able to watch any of Best Shape of My Life yet?
I have not.
Okay,
No.
so I'll give you a brief rundown without ruining it for me because I do think it's worth watching. First, let's see. Let's see. Back to this camera. So, I thought, when the trailer came out, it was all about just him. After losing all of his fitness physique during COVID, his bounce back. It was just going to be a purely physical, motivating show. It's not just that. It's not finished. It's only on the 5th episode, and you find out it's like, in a way, it's like the best commercial for his upcoming book. His memoirs are going to come out. Probably by the end of the year. I'm gonna guess Christmas time, and this is the perfect kind of mechanism to promote his book because it's not just about his physical bounce back, but it's about also him kind of facing the trauma he had growing up and like all the struggles he's been throughout his career, why he's been so successful. Not even struggle, but all we see is his success. And watching his breaking point. Like everyone has a limit. And watching him hit his, basically. Throughout Best Shape of My Life, while writing his book, while working out, even like the physical targets of working out. It's one thing to just hit a target, like to set a target, Instagram, and be like, hey, right, guys, so in this many weeks, I want to be at this weight, and then you go work out. But because it's a show, because it's like he's producing it. There's that added element of like an audience and like
Yeah,
being an
pressure.
entertainer, and yeah, so it's not just about him losing the weight and getting fit. He's got to like make it into a show too. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a lot of pressure. And yeah, I like where it's. I definitely like the way it was done and where it's going. Um, yeah, and I don't want to give you any more details because, and spoiler alerts for anyone too. I don't want to give anybody any spoilers about it. Again, I highly recommend you check it out. Here it is again on Will Smith's page, Best Shape of My Life. And yeah, I'm 20 minutes into Kanye's interview, and I'm interested to listen to the whole thing because he's had a very evolutionary career. I'm gonna say the word
Kanye,
evolutionary.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's one way to put it.
all right. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking in terms of like the last episode, the fifth episode that I saw, Best Shape of My Life, definitely made me think about this transformation subject differently. Like, yeah. Go ahead. You want to share thoughts first?
I think there's always something very endearing about seeing someone, celebrity, put all of their vulnerabilities out for display. Like, and like we always like look at someone like Will Smith. Will Smith used to be called like Mr. Blockbuster, because his
Yeah.
his movies used to like go crazy at the box office. But this is a guy that has also like Will is also one of the celebrities that has really figured out that Instagram system. Um, but yeah, there's something really dope when the average person can see, oh wow, this like celebrity, this renowned figure is actually just a piece of shit human being like myself, you know?
I wouldn't call him a piece of shit.
I mean, not like no, not
I wouldn't call myself a piece of shit either.
like human beings were all flawed is what I mean. Like it's
Mm.
like, oh, this guy's just like me, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Okay.
that's been one thing I've admired about Will Smith and other celebrities that do that. Just put themselves out there.
Okay. I think. Yeah, we'll touch on Will after. Let's talk about Ye. You said everyone's been talking about this interview. Have you watched the whole thing yet?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So what's your if you want spoilers, just say spoiler alert. If you don't, if you're not gonna share any, it's fine. But yeah, what do you think? Like, why was it so good?
One thing they've highlighted is like, okay, first of all, I'll give you one particular reason it was so good. The
Yeah.
interviewer, the interviewer had personal
Or
personal music, um, connections with Kanye, right? It wasn't
Nor
just like some guy.
yeah,
This is
Noriega, yeah.
Noriega, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kanye felt comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
so that enabled him to like open up and talk about like a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on this podcast called the Joe Budden podcast, they talk about how like Charlemagne or Anderson Cooper or Sway or Joe, or Elliot Wilson from fucking Rap Radar. None of them would have been able to get this interview. Like the reason it was so good was because Kanye was like, okay, this is Nori, this is my family, so he's been around all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another reason was because like he was talking about a lot of innovative shit. He was talking about thinking differently about where you call, you know, without giving away too many spoilers. He was just,
Just give it. Whatever.
yeah, he was just, thinking outside the box about what we call a home.
Yeah, I got
You
that. The
know,
house. Yeah, now it isn't a
yeah,
house. Yeah.
there's this thing he was talking about, like, he was like, oh, I'm gonna get killed for this. How about we get rid of Black History Month
No.
and do Black Future Month? At first, I was like, where's he going with this? Then I was like, oh shit, that's kind of ill. It's like, why are we so stuck on the past and shit? So just like little tidbits like that,
Yeah.
I feel is like is why like so many people gravitated toward this interview. He talked about obviously Drake and the feud that's been going on with him forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I got to that
talked
too.
about Jay, like talked about Elon Musk and all his peers that he's, that he regards himself, his contemporaries. A lot of interesting stuff, man. The
Okay.
concept of a haircut, like even that was dope. The concept of like
The
not
Britney.
needing money just off the
Mm-hmm.
strength of your like relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That was really interesting. I like that a lot. Like the whole like your money's no good here type thing. Because
Yeah.
I kind of like that mentality. I think I actually move like that. Because you find in a lot of my creative like endeavors or whatever, like I'd rather find a way we can exchange um, some sort of like exclusive services than just like you like paying me. You know,
Yep.
there's
Yep.
there's like I did a shoot, I did a video shoot for this printing company, and they're like, okay, what's your invoice? And I was like, how about this? How about I just do you guys' marketing? And since I'm a photographer, anytime I need prints, I just come to you. Simple. So it's like, yeah, man, I believe in that whole like bartering system and that whole relationships and
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay, we're gonna go on lots of tangents today. Let's do that first.
yeah, man.
Do you feel like moving back to the barter system is a step forward or behind or back?
Um, well, entirely, I don't think entirely is very smart. I mean,
Well,
we need the
I'm
men
anti
the
I'm anti money. Just so you know, I'm on that side where I feel like we don't need money anymore. But that's just my take on it. But yeah, I wanted to
I
hear your
feel like
thoughts.
just because the whole like money's hardwired into the very fabric of our society. So at this point in time, we need it. Like just changing it is just gonna not work.
Okay.
Um, but I think over time, in some way, shape, or form, we could actually end up back at the barter system. Like,
Okay.
you know how history always, like the way societies work, is like you do one thing and then you advance to the next thing, and then the next advancement is somehow kind of the old thing. It's kind of weird like that sometimes.
It's like fashion.
Um, yeah, exactly. Um, or the fucking stylus pen. I remember like when all these stylus pens came out on these pads, and Steve Jobs, he was like literally doing an Apple thing, and he was like, "Why the fuck would I want a stylus pen?"
Yeah.
And then years later, Apple came out with a stylus pen. You know,
Well, was that after Jobs though?
that was after Jobs died. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like, oh man. I saw a thing once that was like, yeah, some kids in Japan they don't even know what money is. They haven't even seen money. They've never even like they just do everything digitally with their phone. So it's like, who knows, man? Shit's weird. I keep thinking about that. It's not so far fetched that eventually, like everything goes all like crypto, and then everything becomes like hardwired into like a personal like point system. I think they have something like that in like China or some shit. It's like
Well,
a
yeah.
social
Social
currency.
media score. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that
Yeah.
about? Where is that? I gotta look
China.
this shit up. That's in
It's like
China, eh?
it's based off that Black Mirror kind of. I don't know if you saw that Black Mirror episode where everyone has a social score, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's everyone's kind of like registered and logged in terms of all your behavior. It's almost like your credit score, but it's not about your spending habits on the credit card or loans or things like that. It's completely based on behavior. So if you do like a crime, you'll lose your social score. If you do something good, you'll maybe gain some social score.
Yeah.
And eventually this social score will affect your access to like everyday stuff. To like, oh, you want to eat at this restaurant, let's see your social score. Okay, you meet this criteria where you're safe, you're like a good member of society, you can eat at this restaurant.
Hmm.
But if you're not, if you maybe had like a car accident, so it's bad irresponsible driving, or maybe you lost your job, or something that can haunt you on, let's say, social media, now actually has weight on your ability to access things in the world. So maybe some places won't let you, go to the bank and borrow money, or you can't stay at this hotel, you can't eat at this restaurant, you can't buy a house in this area because of your social score. So yeah, that.
So, like, I guess that kind of is a bartering system, right? It's the exchange of goods and services without the use of money, because that's what the definition is according to what is this
You
Webster?
still need to. You can have access, but you still have to pay for what you're doing in there.
Yeah.
It's both. It still needs both. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like far-fetched in the future. At some point, we could have like majority of our shit be through a bartering system. But yeah, man, like lots of transformative topics is what I extrapolated from the Ye interview and that whole Will Smith documentary. You know,
So I wanted to ask you, because you're an artist too, like musician or music artist, and Ye's career, and I use the word evolutionary specifically.
okay.
Like when I think of successful rappers, successful artists in the let's keep it hip hop R&B, just so we can kind of make kind of fair comparisons. But like
Okay.
music, even music, Ye has had different sounds. Like he's had some evolution in his sound. Would you
Hmm.
agree or disagree?
Oh, for sure. Like every album sounds different.
Right. And why do you think that is? Why is he able to do that versus, let's say, let's because Drake's in. Let's look at Drake. There's beef between them, but like I would say he hasn't sounded different in a number of albums. Like I feel like he's not kind of facing the same evolution. Even the last album he dropped this year, people were like, nothing's wowing them. Like nothing's.
Yeah.
So
Well,
why is that?
Kanye has the added cheat code of being a producer. So
So does Drake.
when it comes to no, but like Kanye's a technical producer,
Okay.
is what
Yeah.
I mean. Like
Okay.
he's worked with MPCs and chop samples and shit like that.
Okay.
Um, so his understanding of sound is a lot more intricate. Um,
Okay.
so that factors into like what he's able to do with his music because he's able to. This is the thing with being like people that are producers and rappers, they have an added advantage of like crafting a song exactly how they want it to sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because Kanye is someone that very he's just always going through he's in a lot of different rooms, right? He's talking to a lot of different people. He's always like absorbing a lot of different information, right? So I feel like his palette is just a bit more like his musical palette is just a bit more vast, right?
Okay.
Um, because he's also in rooms with like other producers and he's understanding them like on another level than like say a Drake or another popular artist, right?
Okay.
So every all of that goes into the music. So that's why every Kanye album, like I feel like he's just able to tap into a very specific sound, you know. Um,
Can I
Drake, on the
ask?
other hand,
Okay. Yeah.
he works with a producer.
Yeah.
You know, he works with other producers. So like they're coming to him with like, yo, this is what we have. He probably already has like an idea he's trying to put down. He's just like kind of looking for the right beat type thing, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah.
Okay. Well, back to Ye. So you attribute his ability to make some very noticeable changes in his music from album to album because of his personal skill. Like his creativity and innovation is just a skill that he has. Like is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like he often talks about Yo, what before he got signed to Rockefeller, he would spend literally like he would spend a whole summers making 3 beats a day. For any producer, like anyone that knows like beat making, that's a lot of fucking beats, yo. Like that's
Yeah.
not easy at all. So it's like just to show you the. And then he said, for the song Power.
Yeah. Oh man,
Uh,
love Power. Yeah.
he said I think they
That's my
put like
favorite.
how many thousand man hours into that song?
Really?
Yeah, so it's like he does the groundwork, man. Like he does the musical groundwork, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, yeah, skill and collaborative. Uh, I don't know, capability.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna knock the fact that he's put in the hours to like, expand his vocabulary musically, beat wise, production wise, and like he's put in the time and effort to like, hone his craft. But it's still all right. Oh, sorry, Nefertiti's. Thanks, man. I know lately, just side note, um, just haven't been doing a lot of the Spanish streams because of workload. This is the kind of like our weekly podcast that we do. Oh, sorry, man. Uh, I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you for a second here. So yes, I will be getting back into the swing of streaming Spanish again, Duolingo, probably next week. Actually, it's just finally my workload has kind of gotten to a more manageable level. But thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I know it. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while, but I appreciate, and I will come back. I promise. All right. Okay. What I wanted to say, Dej, was I feel like there's more to it. There's more to it than just him being able to innovate from album to album. I think there are things happening in his personal life that is causing shifts. Because when you look at Drake, his life from his success, I mean, even persona, he's been the same Drake for the most part, right? But we've seen Kanye from obviously after through the wire, his recovery state, and then we've seen him on his like the power, like he made it right, and then but then in between, I mean there were a few others in between, but like his come up before Kim, and then after Kim, and then not after Kim, like after he after they
Yeah,
got together, I mean, and then they have kids, and then his whole fashion battle, and then his whole faith kind of realization with his like I think 2 albums ago or 1 album ago when it was all about all of a sudden God, like he everything had a choir in it or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It's very apparent that he has also gone through like physical, physical changes and like just like persona changes
Mm-hmm.
as well. So, yeah, I would definitely say that's a factor. The whole like Amber Rose period too. That's when he dropped My
Oh
Beautiful Dark
yeah,
Twisted Fantasy. Like
yeah,
he's going through it, yo.
that was before
He's
Kim.
definitely going.
Yeah, it was before
Yep.
Kim, right? Okay, yeah, good. Yo, Power, I still think is my favorite of his. Like
Yeah.
beat wise, like when if you, of course, I'm sure you have, but like for anyone who hasn't heard Power, I mean everyone's heard Power, but if you do listen to it and you just pay attention to every beat underlying that beat, because I'm a huge fan of syncopation, like that's I don't like straight beats, and man, Power has so many syncopated accents in that beat, and it's simple, but it's like because it's in chord progression, it's simple. It's just like dun 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 dun. It's like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like everyone. It's very like common and like known. It's been used in music in so many different genres and ever. But that beat made it for me.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was one of my favorites, if not my favorite of his. So what I wanted to like tie in, do
Okay.
you find with your music, your evolution as an artist, has there been shifts in your identity, in your image, that you can attribute to changes in life, like things like pivotal moments in life? Or do you feel like you have this theme that you want to hold strongly, and you're not to say you have to change, you don't have to. Grow is one thing, change is something else. Change, no, not necessarily is bad or good, but artists can grow. Drake still is still growing too. I'm not saying he hasn't like evolved. I just don't think he's evolved to the same level as what we see. Like Ye is clearly changing, like, yeah, drastic, really big shifts that we can notice. Like he doesn't sound the same from album to album. So yeah, I wondered if you can relate there. Do you feel stagnant at all as an artist? Do you feel like you want to change your sound and you can't, or you're completely cool with how you're sounding? It was just about evolution of the sound.
That's a good question. I feel like my personal sound has changed. I mean, it's definitely changed. I used to be very, influenced by early 90s hip hop, right? And that used to be my whole thing.
Yeah.
But as I've been exposed to more genres over the years and like, experimented with different things, there's definitely been a noticeable progression that anyone that's listened to me like, 5, 6, 8 years ago would be able to discern from like listening to me today.
Yeah.
So I think that's needed, right? Like you gotta go through these evolutions as an artist. Like I don't think any artist truly really like wants to keep the same sound.
Right. Yeah, even when I think about like painters, they go through their periods too, right?
Hmm.
Like, what is it? Picasso, was it? He had like his dark period, and then there's like various
Hmm.
periods in their career, and then their art changed, abstract to like realism and all that stuff. I guess it was also shifting with the artistic periods at the time too. But okay. Now look at Will.
Hmm.
Now, how would you describe Will's? Let's just stick with music first.
Will's music.
Music, because that's how he started, right?
Yeah, that is how he started. I mean, he did the whole thing with Jazzy Jeff. They were having like their 90s, vibes with the sampling and stuff like that. Summertime. But he also like I think it was around the time like Hitch was out. He had this one single, hey, you're on a switch. You're on a switch. You remember that song?
Maybe,
It's called Switch.
Okay.
This was back in the day. So he kind of came back for a bit too, and his music was all like radio-y and shit.
Hmm.
But I think with his movie career too, like a lot of it was like comedy, Fresh Prince, and then it was like action with Bad Boy, and then it got like really serious. Like you had like
Pursuit of Happiness, Concussion.
Pursuit of Happiness, Concussion. There's this other one I'm thinking of, 7 Pounds.
7 pounds.
7 Pounds, I think was one of the first. Like, oh shit, this is like Will Smith is like getting into his like real acting bag. But yeah, man.
So why do you? Okay. Obviously, yeah. I didn't very much. I didn't really appreciate him as a music artist.
Okay.
Fresh Prince. The intro is probably the one that's most iconic in terms of music for him. For me, from him, for me. But like Men in Black or Wild West and Miami and it. Yeah, you're right. It was too radio. It was too kind of pop. He was just trying to appeal to crowds, to feel good stuff. But I
Hmm.
didn't feel like it defined. Like it was. It felt like a production. It didn't feel like it was him, in my opinion. This is only my opinion, and I'm nobody. I know that, but like, just in the way I perceived him with his music. But then when he got to television, obviously we saw him grow as an actor. And I think his shift to movies, it was only a matter of time. Like and his growth from, as you said, comedy into action into drama was just like a natural progression of him challenging himself. Like he just wanted to become better, right? And to prove that he could do it too. There's always like this thing about, he just wanted to prove to people that he could do it. He wanted to prove that he could act coming from music. He wanted to prove that he could do Fresh Prince, and he wanted to prove that a black family sitcom could make it on TV. And then he wanted to prove that he wasn't just a funny guy. He wanted to prove that he could act. And then you got that like crazy dramatic scene with him and Uncle Phil when his dad leaves. And then he wanted to prove that he could be a movie star, and he did. And then he wanted to prove that he could like get jacked for Ali, and like I Robot, and like I Am Legend, like all these eyes.
Oh, I Am Legend was crazy.
Like he got jacked, right? Yeah. But I mean, Independence Day, I think, was his breakaway. Like his breakout movie was Independence Day, and that brought him Men in Black, Wild Wild West, whatever. He could have been Neo. He could have been Neo in The Matrix.
Yeah, but honestly, like, did you see that video he posted up of like, I think Keanu Reeves smoked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were watching that again. I watched Matrix again last night. I'm on Reloaded now. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Oh, we already did our Matrix pod. Oh.
Well, we could do it again once the movie comes out. But,
oh shit.
I mean, okay, this podcast is about transformation, and I was trying to relate as to like when did I like make leaps and bounds in my life. And yeah, like I think change, not necessarily transformation. But would you say that humans are more welcoming and maybe susceptible to change after grief and loss?
Of course, because a lot of times they internalize those griefs and losses, and like it's like, oh man, if I had the opportunity, like I would change so much stuff, or this is reminding me that life is short, so I got to make all these changes. Sometimes with a loss, say it be the loss of a partner, like in a breakup or something like that. Maybe it was something that you weren't doing enough of or doing too much of, and you're like, man, I got to stop doing so much of this, or I got to start doing more of this.
Yeah.
So it's usually after like something crippling. Well, not crippling, but like something that involves like some sort of sacrifice, I guess.
Okay. Do you have like a personal story similar to that?
I mean, the classic breakup story. The girl says, "Oh, this is why this didn't work out." So you try to make some changes within yourself. I guess like that's my example. I mean, I was in a relationship, and toward the tail end and like afterward, I just kind of internalized the fact that it ended because of like stuff that I wasn't doing enough of or whatever. So I tried to make some personal changes in life, man.
Yeah. And have you?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely say that. So grief and loss are good motivators sometimes. I mean, they're not the best ones, but they're certainly good.
I would say maybe they're some of the best ones. Like I could see, my relationships leading up to this point, all my failed relationships, definitely had that kind of common theme of why they failed. And yeah, you get you learn what didn't work out, and then you're more aware of it, and hopefully you would address it for the next one. Of course, like I had 4-year relationship, 7-year relationship, like long relationships. But in terms of my growth, Like they didn't really happen. Like the growth didn't really happen while I was in them. It happened after. Almost always immediately after, because of like the pain that I didn't want to feel again of loss, you know? And then the biggest one was finally after my last long term was when it was like, yo, I have serious problems where I can't just do this by myself. Like I had to go. That's when I finally like sought therapy, right? I had to find help, like a and like you'll see in at least like the Will Smith thing, he's just been on the rise his whole life and his success, but I don't think he's really felt a shift where he needed to change himself. It was always just climbing up the hill, right? And in terms of loss or tragic, some kind of tragic experience or traumatic, maybe you don't see that. You don't. The most recent though I would say is Jada, right?
Oh God,
Man,
well, what's been going on now with her? I just keep seeing some shit like, yo, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's marriage was written by Tyler Perry. It's like, what happened now?
I don't know. I don't know the current status. In my understanding, they are not together.
Christ.
That is my understanding. And man,
Life partners.
I watched this thing, man, where I thought, yeah, they were perfect for each other, and then you'd hear rumors about like them swinging or whatever, and then I heard rumors about this other dude.
August Alsina.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, and then the truth comes out. Then they have like this. Jada Will had this
Table
one-on-one.
talk.
Yeah, did you see that?
Oh, I saw it. And I saw
Oh my.
Will's face.
Oh my god, dude. Like he well
He
that's
looked
man, I don't
absolutely
know.
defeated.
Well, which I appreciated. I appreciated the fact that he was real there, but man, when you listen to how Jada spoke the whole time, not not Will never threw any kind of like accusation, but just the way she deflected responsibility. Do you know what I'm talking about? She deflected.
All too well.
Think about the word I said too, because man, I went through those comments. I read through so many of those comments, and it made so much sense. Yeah, just like the narcissism that she displayed throughout that whole thing. That it was like it was not about owning up to hurting someone. Like she hurt him, and yet she was like, I needed this. This was something I needed to go through in order for me to get past this part in my life. It was something like things. I think she said something like materialized between me and this other dude, like or like.
What was
And
the
I'm
word
like,
she used? The popular word the popular phrase that came out of entanglement.
oh yeah,
That was the phrase that came out of that whole thing.
and
The
it's like,
entanglement.
yeah, I mean, I felt bad for him, but at the same time, I'm happy for him that he doesn't have to endure that anymore. Like, at least I hope he's made that choice and he understands like that's a part of his life he does not need to like go back to. And it makes me wonder too, did he feel like he failed her? I wonder if he felt like he just wasn't good enough for her. When you watch this Best Shape of My Life, I think you'll have different insights about that.
Oh, he gets into that, eh?
Not yet. I feel like he will. Right now, he's still on his childhood with his parents and stuff. So it's like you see where it stems from. You see how like how he operated. Like he can't fail. He is not allowed to fail.
Oh.
And yeah, like that. I'd say in his career was the first big failure that was kind of public. His marriage. You know, like he was still like the model father technically. Okay, what other failures?
A lot of people would say like when it comes to like movie choices and stuff like that, like he really fucked up with Wild Wild West.
Yeah, but
But it's not. It doesn't have the same impact.
It didn't kill his career. It didn't stop him from being an actor, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, neither will his marriage really. It's just like.
Oh, but it'll change him though. Like.
Yeah, it'll change him, but like as far as like his career and stuff, like because he's got the movie that's coming out with Serena. Was it King Richard or some shit?
King Richard.
So
Yeah.
he's still gonna, he's still gonna get his shit. He's still gonna be Will at the end of the day.
But you got to remember
Um,
though, he made that movie before Best Shape of My Life, and you'll see.
mm,
It kind of
yeah, you know what?
premised.
I
Yeah.
need to actually watch that to get better context.
Mm.
But as far as failing her, did he?
Not in our eyes, but do you think in his eyes? Do you think he felt he lost her?
Uh, I don't know. He probably doesn't feel that way. Like, he
Really?
probably doesn't feel that way.
What do you think he feels?
Because I feel like with Will and Jada, right? Like their relationship is so deep that wherever they are now is I don't know. I don't think it's like a I lost her type thing. I think it's like it's like literally like irreconcilable differences. I think that is a lot different than like losing someone. I think like
Irreconcilable differences.
I think like
Now, okay, go ahead.
I think when you have a situation where, because this is the thing with, I've heard from him in prior interviews. He said that me and Jada, no matter like, she could literally like stab me, like no matter what happens, like
Yeah.
she'll always be like my life partner, right?
Yep.
So I feel like they've already gone through so much shit between the both of them, and I don't feel like yeah, like you said, they were swinging, right? So I
That
don't
was
feel.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But it was rumored. It was rumored.
I want to say it's probably true,
I can see
because
that. Yeah.
Will, like it's fucking Will Smith. It's
Right.
fucking Will Smith. Like if Jada is like doing that, I'm sure Will was getting busy,
Right.
but like we probably just never heard like a peep, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of that still the public is unaware about. So a lot of things is still just like um what do they call those things? Um Not projection, but like how they just like make something look away. Um I forget. But anyway, like I don't think it was like a feeling of, oh, I lost her, or like
You
I
think he
just
was ready for it? Like,
yeah,
yo, but
yeah,
then
and
you
probably
saw him
wanting
at
it.
the red table thing.
Yeah, I did.
He wouldn't look like that. I don't think he'd sound and say the things he said if he didn't still felt like that lot like that failure.
I still don't know if we should. I mean, maybe I don't. I just still don't know if we should label it as failure. Maybe
I
like more
no,
so like
I'm
frustration,
not.
or just like
I'm not. I when I see that, like I think she made poor choices that led to a very responsible decision. That's how I see it. I see that she was unfaithful to him and like kept things from him. And then he found out and she took on this position of like she needed it and he could no longer stand with her because of her choice. I think it was a responsible decision.
wait. So from what I got from the whole red table thing was like they were just trying to explain not the fact that they didn't know what was going on with Jada in August, but just the fact that it got out of control. That's what I got from it. Like he was already in on the whole shit. Like, cause he was like referring to August by like his nickname. He's calling him Og and shit. So like Will to
Well,
me
because
was
they were already friends. Like
yeah,
they didn't like. I don't think August came in as Jada's. August came in as a
yeah,
neutral,
oh yeah, yeah, right.
but then something happened between. Yeah,
And I
and
don't think Will was not aware of that. I think he was very
oh
much in
really?
the loop. Yeah, bro. Yeah, man.
Then
Like
why
that's
would
what
he look like? Okay, so how did it get out of control? How does that get out of control if he knew?
because now August started making public declarations. That's what happened. August is an artist, right? He's this popular artist. He's like a Chris
Okay,
Brown aesthetic. So like he starts fucking referencing her in his songs and shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like he kind of put that on blast. So it kind of came more from his thing, from his indiscretions. So
Okay.
that red table thing was kind of them trying to do damage control. You know what I mean? Because they already knew about that shit. Like Will
So you're
already knew about
saying
all that shit.
because August went all public, the tabloids that came, or the rumors that came from that, is what I got out of control, and they didn't want to
They
they didn't
wanted
want
to get
to.
control of the narrative. I think that's what happened.
So why was
Because
he
there's
crying? Why
no
was he crying, dude?
fucking.
Why
He was
was he
crying on the
crying?
interview
Did you not see his face?
on the
Okay,
red
maybe.
table talk.
Yeah, well, okay, maybe he's not like, dude. He had tears. They both had tears.
What?
Cause,
I didn't
cause,
see that part.
okay, what are we not? Maybe we're referring to two different episodes, man. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
there's the popular meme. You know the popular Will Smith meme from that red table talk, right?
Sorry.
Do you know the popular Will Smith meme from the red table talk?
No.
Oh,
Let's look
so
it up.
maybe we're watching different shit.
Let's look it up. Will Smith red table talk meme. Okay, yeah, I see that.
Is that the episode you're talking about?
Yeah, that
Oh,
face,
I
right,
don't.
where he looks like yeah, he's
Yeah,
just defeated, right?
I don't remember him crying though. I
Here,
think
let
that
me.
was just a screenshot of just him having a bad face. They just got
Like
him
the
at the right time.
despair. Nah, man, he was getting red. He was getting puffy eyed. She was.
I just remember them like giggling and shit.
Let's see. Will Smith red table cry. Let's look that up. Oh, maybe there's another one.
Yeah, I think you're watching another one, dude.
Watch
There was
Will and
another
JP
one
and Smith
one
get
on one
emotional
with
upon
them
staying at the tabletop.
where he was crying.
I don't know now. I mean,
Shit.
I saw like a.
Why do celebrities do that?
What I saw was like it was someone analyzing the talk, the video that I saw.
Oh,
So then
okay.
there was like also, an
So some
analysis.
secondhand information. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Addressing crying. What is this?
Hey, you guys.
Over entanglement. Will Smith addresses crying over entanglement. Well, that was the word that you used. Anyway, I think he truly loved her. I think he was like, as he said, the ride or die. She could stab him, and there'd be like this. You think she feels that way? Nah.
Well, he said they made the agreement. So I don't think Will doesn't strike me as the lover or the more romantic one in that relationship. When I think of
Really?
when I think of the more romantic one, I think it's probably Jada,
Romantic.
or the more like, yeah, because she had the whole thing with Tupac, right? You know, like that was like a huge part of her life that got like publicized, like she was in this relationship with him.
Huh.
Will, for the most part, has just been with Jada. You know, we haven't really seen any in
Well,
his personal life, any like, he had a what?
I mean, he had someone before her. Like he had a kid before her too,
Yeah,
right? So like,
yeah. But I mean, like, as far as like any publicized romantic interest, it's always been Jada, right?
yeah.
So I want to say like, so wait, what was your original question?
We were talking about romantic. Who's the romantic one?
Yeah, so I'd say it's probably more Will.
Oh, you
Or
said
sorry,
Jade.
probably more Jada, more Jada.
Okay. I okay, I would say maybe romance in the sense of like that she was maybe the more uh like where her display of romance is what we would what we would deem romance. Like she probably can express romance better than Will. Because
Yeah,
Will's a goofball. Like that, can goofballs really be romantic?
yeah,
But
yeah.
what I would say though is Will, I'd say, is the more like committed. Like he was more invested emotionally.
Mm, true.
He may not have been as much as more expressive emotionally, which is what we would deem as romance. But I think he was more invested emotionally.
Okay. I could see that, I guess. Yeah. I could see it. Yeah, my laptop's gonna die. Just give me 2.
Yeah, plug that in. Anybody in chat want to chime in? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Hilarious. But yeah, guys.
Yeah, man. That's what happens when you have a couple kids and spend your entire marriage in the light. It's like shit can get weird sometimes.
So I'll tell you, this isn't really like a spoiler, but like in best shape of my life, there's 5 parts so far. I feel like it's gonna be 10. First part was called Performance. Second part was called Ambition. Third part was called... Oh man, I don't remember now. Maybe... Hold on. Delusion. Third part was called Delusion.
We're here on another.
Fourth part was called Destruction.
Oops.
And then the 5th part was called Transformation. Which is why I thought when I watched part 5 today and like where our topic was transformation, I was like, nice. Thank you. You know, fate that it would align. That the last one I watched was Transformation. And it was a big one. I gotta say, it's a big one. And man, like I stemmed from it personally because not just the loss of, let's say, my last, you know, serious relationship where it was like it prompted me to want to change, but the transformation didn't come until way after. Like, I not only was there like the decision, the you know, the inevitable but final decision to seek help, but I also had to go through the process and learn the process of like not just recovering but also like fixing, like what was wrong and how can we fix it. And a lot of it, man, I had to go back, look at my childhood, see the trauma, acknowledge the trauma that I faced, and then like, what's the word, not address, but like confront the drama. And man, that took time. Like it took time already to just figure out, to identify. To identify the trauma. I had a rough idea, but I always took it on as like it was my own fault. Like it was my own, like, not my own fault, sorry, but it was part of me that I couldn't actually detach from. Yeah. So identifying it, and then finally accepting it, and then realizing that it wasn't part of me, that I could detach from it. And then once I was able to detach from it, then I could face it. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. I've never gone to therapy, but I always wondered how they get you to like mentally make these adjustments. So I guess that's like a pretty, you know, simple way of how they break that down that you just explained. It's like, identify it's not part of you, detach from it, and then confront it. You know?
I mean, I didn't, that wasn't any, those words and everything, that process I just described, I made up just now, but I'm not saying I made it up. Like,
yeah,
you know, those words just came today.
Seems pretty straightforward, you know, like that's how therapy seems like it's supposed to work. It's like identify the root cause of these behaviors or these feelings.
Yep.
And more often than not, it's something rooted in our childhood that we were exposed to. Then we recognize that, and you know, like you said, detach from the fact that that's actually like not part of our personality or whatever. It's just something that happened to us, and then you can like, you know, confront it or whatever. That's yeah. I mean, it's I've been meaning to go to therapy, but I just haven't gotten around to it, and it's expensive. I think I'd want to do like the classic. Like I need to be in a room with someone with my feet up.
Oh, the one-on-one on the couch.
Yeah, bro. Like I need
Yeah,
that.
I didn't pay for mine. Like it was group. Like,
Oh yeah, bro. I need that because I got
but
fucking baggage.
but when you when you go for an assessment, you have a one-on-one first because they have to figure out, all right, well, which direction do we point you? So I had two solo sessions. It wasn't like sitting out with my feet up. It was just in an office, whatever. And then we stemmed from that to go to group. And yeah, I said I didn't want to pay. Like I don't want I don't want to spend money, and I also don't want to do drugs. Like I didn't want medication. They're like, we could prescribe you some medication if you think that would help. I'm like, if I can avoid it, I'll like to try and avoid it first. And luckily I didn't have to go to the medical side. But no, man, you said, okay, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I remember feeling that too. Is like, I've been thinking about it, I just haven't gotten around to it, right? So therapy itself, I don't think is the mechanism that helped me identify and accept. It wasn't therapy. Therapy, what therapy helped me do is like manage the real time struggles of like emotional like control, like controlling my emotions, and like managing emotional management, not control, management. So that's what therapy is good at. So it's like, I'm gonna face all this stuff regardless, trauma or not, trauma related or not, or like a new factor or not. I'm gonna face it every time because this is how my body's been doing it and my brain's been doing it my whole life. So then therapy helps teach you skills to work with what you got. That's what therapy's good for. But the actual identification and acceptance, that was not the therapist, and that was not the group therapy. Maybe he asked some questions that put me on the spot to think, you know, like growing up or whatever like that. But I think ultimately it's a choice. Like it is a personal choice that you know something's wrong, that you need to fix, that not someone else can fix, but like you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How my friend described therapy to me is she says, yeah, my therapist used to give me homework, like
Yep.
homework that would like actually be challenging. Like I would actually have to come back to her and be like, okay, this is what happened this week, and give her a report. So
Yeah.
like when she said that, that kind of changed my view on what therapy was as well. Because like I feel like a lot of people feel like, okay, therapy is you go to this office, you talk to this person, you say, hey doc, these are my problems, and then they tell you, this is why you have these problems, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I feel
Yeah.
better.
No. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
man.
kind of what I thought it was. And then
Yeah.
she was like, nah, B, like she's telling you, okay, you need to like challenge yourself to not do this week because we've identified that these are your triggers, so you need to avoid this and this and this, and like giving you actual tangible like stuff to work on, right? And it's like, oh shit, that's kind of like giving me responsibility for the change. You know,
Yeah.
so
Well, all they do is
that's
ask questions. They're not allowed to like tell you what to do, what's wrong. They have to still guide you through choices, and then you make the decision. Like they give you obviously like an educated, this is what I see, behavior that you've shown, this is what you've shared, and this is what I see. And then they'll ask questions. Well, what do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that happens? Why do you feel that way? Like with me, man, it was like one of the greatest things was just like I was saying, like I have anger problems. Like I get very angry, and I have rage issues. And it's like, okay. And then like, well, how do you feel about anger? And I'm like, well, it's bad. Anger's bad. Like it leads to me hurting people, and it leads to people suffering. Anger's bad. And he's like, why do you think anger is bad? It's just an emotion. You know? You just feel it. You can't not feel it. Yeah. Anger's just natural. You feel angry. Sure, maybe the stimulus could have been something that was bad that led you to anger, but feeling anger isn't necessarily bad. And it was like, I had to think about that. I was like, I don't get it. Being angry is bad. I've been taught all my life you're not supposed to like lose control and get angry at people and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So he gave you a bit of a perspective shift, like, oh, that's true. Anger is just an emotion.
Well, he allowed me to disconnect the emotion with the stimulus, with like, why am I angry? Like, it's not that, oh man, I'm angry, therefore I have. So what happened with me is when I get angry, I get disappointed at myself. Well, I'm mad at myself. Like I'm sure I'm first mad at what's going on, and then the anger shifts to me. It was like, man, I suck. I can't like control myself. And then I feel shame and I feel guilt, and then it's destructive. And then he was just allowing me to say that when you feel angry, it doesn't have to point back at myself and be like shame and guilt and all that shit. Not that he said that. He basically just asked me a bunch of whys and like, and it was great because I had to come up with the answers. Like I answered it for him when I thought about it. And so, yeah, it's great. I think everyone should go. Like everyone should do therapy when they can. There is, like you said, like, it doesn't have to be pricey where you have to pay for a private shrink and stuff. Like those are very expensive. Even the text sessions you can have, you pay for those too. But I didn't bother. I was like, give me the assessments. And then like, I think 2 months later, he's like, we'll do a follow-up, or maybe a month later, we'll do a follow-up. I could have continued doing follow-ups and it would have been covered by OHIP, but like, I thought I was okay. Like I didn't want to go back anymore. But yeah, eventually the second session was when I like told more about like my trauma, like what I discovered to be my trauma. Like, why am I like this? Why do I react a certain way? I shared more in the second session. And then because I shared it and I didn't feel judged, that was the biggest thing. Because any time I ever shared this stuff before, I was judged. And I would say relatively harshly. So, and that was not conducive to like progress.
Yeah.
So, but when he reacted, he was like, okay, yeah, and then I looked at him a little bit like, well, in my head, I was like, aren't you going to judge me? Like, aren't you going to say you shouldn't have done that? Aren't you going to say shit like that? And he's like, so that's normal. Okay. And then, yeah, from that acceptance, I learned to forgive. I had to forgive myself. Eventually, I had to forgive myself. Kyle helped me to forgive myself. One random day, coming back from Kincardine.
Well, what do you say that
2019
prompted that?
Or 2020?
Was that? What do you say that prompted that? Was I there for that Kincardine?
2019. So that was pandemic. That was first pandemic one. You were. That's when we met Theo. We went out. We dressed up. We went out. We had like fish and chips and stuff. Yeah, you were there. But the drive back, it was just me and Kyle in my car. And it's when I finally told him my whole story. I told him my trauma, and I told him my, what's the word? Rock bottom. I told him my rock bottom story to its fullest. And again, because it's, you know, I had a fear. Like there was a slight fear that he would also judge me, and he didn't, because he's Kyle. He's my best friend. So it was like shit, and it hit me. It hit me then. I was driving too, and he's like, "F, at some point you have to forgive yourself too," because it was something that in my mind I would never forgive myself for. because I thought I didn't deserve to forgive myself. It was something I would have to suffer because I didn't deserve it. And yeah, man, wow, that was huge. That was months after therapy. Months after, that was like 8 months after the breakup. You know, maybe 2 months after the last therapy session, but maybe 3 months after the second assessment that I had, like one-on-one with the therapist. So it took time. It took time for me to like get there.
Yeah.
It's great shit, man.
Yeah,
I'm an
like
advocate for sure. Yeah.
When you're allowed to like judge, when you're in a judgment-free zone, that really gives someone the confidence to like really express how they feel. Yeah, I guess that's why. What's that quote? Give a man a mask and he'll tell you the truth.
Wow.
Because it's like, the mask and that anonymous feeling of knowing there's going to be no judgment to my personal character received from this allows me to just express my truth. Yeah, I think I've been kind of like scared about what I would find once I go to therapy. Because I guess to touch on what you said, I also have a lot of those sentiments too. Like I feel like sometimes when I get angry at things, I'll like now internalize it and be angry at myself and be like, "Oh my God, stupid! Why'd you do that? That was so dumb." So yeah. I guess having someone now be like, "Hey, you actually don't need to do that. Like you don't need to like blame yourself. Like these things happen. Blah blah blah. Like it's just natural, right?" That would kind of make me think about things a bit differently too. So it's something I want to do, but I think I need. I don't know. Maybe it's just my vanity. I think I need the. All right, listen.
It's
like more feet up and shit.
Yeah, with a notepad
I
and a
don't want to look at this
pen,
motherfucker.
and he's like, "We have 1 hour." He gives you the time. That's enough time for today.
Yeah, just want to look up at the ceiling and just I don't even want to look at you.
Well, anytime I see that, well, okay, no, that's not true. I was gonna say that for the most part, when I see that image of the whole therapy experience, like the patient doesn't want to be there, they're forced to. It's like maybe it was like a court ruling. You have to go to therapy in order for you to like maintain custody or something, or so you don't go to jail, or so they're being forced to go there so they can rehabilitate and like anger management. It was like a court ruling. You had to go to anger management or something if you want to save your child, like keep custody of your kids or something. But no, I have seen other ones too where maybe in the narrative it's like they're weaker. Maybe they lack a little bit of that self-esteem to like get through some challenges in life, so then they actually go seek out help with a therapist, but then the therapist in that picture hardly ever cares. They're just like sketching, and then the other person's like opening up whatever, and the therapist basically not even paying attention, just looking at his watch, and he's like, "Oh, that's about time, you can continue next week." And you know what I mean, like the opposite. Yeah. The interest from the therapist isn't there, or the interest from the patient isn't there. It's one of the two. But anyway, yeah, man, I mean, I'd be willing to listen if you want. I don't know, do you feel like there's something deep within that you haven't uncovered, that you haven't
oh yeah, man, like for sure, like, but it's like multi-layered, so
you're an onion.
Yeah, man, like I would need a couple therapy sessions.
Oh yeah.
I probably need to just like I would just need to get a therapist. Like that's my plan for like the foreseeable future. Just get like a trustworthy therapist and just have that person just be my therapist for like till I'm dead.
Oh yeah.
That's like that's kind of my goal.
That's tough too, because that's true. Sometimes, man, that I asked for advice before I went to see my first therapy session. I asked my other friends who have been to therapy, and like, so like, do you have advice? How do I treat this? Like, I've never met this person before. I don't know who this is, and I'm supposed to just divulge all this personal information to this person. And then one of my friends made a very sound recommendation. He's like, don't just pick the first one you meet. Sometimes you need something. You have to feel safe and like not just comfortable but safe. If you don't feel that with your therapist, that person can't be your therapist. Like, it has to be. So you should meet others. You can ask to be like, would it be possible to like speak with someone else to see if it could be a better fit, something like that. So don't settle on your actual therapist, especially if you're gonna spend the rest of your life listening to shit. So that was really good advice. I lucked out. At the same time, I don't think I'm super picky. I was just ready to open up anyway. So
I think I would want my therapist to be like fucking, I don't know, some like fat white lady.
So you don't fall in love with her? Is that what you're saying?
So I'm like, yo, like,
if it was Halle Berry, you're screwed.
Yeah, because like it's like, okay, I'm unloading all of the personal stuff to you. Like, you're like this like motherly figure. It's like I won't be attracted to you, but I don't know, whatever.
I think that's true, man. That's a really insightful like kind of projection, because like mine was a dude and he was a little creepy to me. Like I was like I don't know if I'm feeling this, but in a way, because I felt so detached, it made it easier. Because if it was, let's say, an attractive woman, and all of a sudden I have this like confiding experience with them,
that would not work for me.
and then I'm invested. Now all of a sudden I'm falling in love with my therapist. Apparently,
nope.
I'm sure that happens. Nope. But like, I'm glad it didn't happen to me, because then you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would like want a male therapist. Let me think about that.
Why not?
Know. Like I guess I would, but I feel like I'd always prefer a female therapist. I don't know.
Is there some sort of like stereotype in your head about?
I don't know, because I watched the show Hannibal.
Yeah.
Like at least 3 times, and Hannibal is a therapist, and like there was a certain just coldness to his therapy. I wouldn't want a therapist, like I would want a relatively like warm therapist.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a male therapist would be a bit too like technical for me.
Yeah.
But that's probably just my gender bias.
I think
wouldn't
maybe
want a fucking attractive therapist. Fuck that. That's just asking for weird problems.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like you hear about. I mean, there's movies about male therapists, being very pivotal to, let's say, their female patients, but then female patients start falling for them, but they're not the ethical type. So there's exploitation there at that point. But those are movies, obviously, but it could very well be possible that exists. I can see that happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, man.
That's dangerous. Okay, so I mean, hey, I don't know if you've had a talk like this before, where you've
had a cock. I've never had a cock. Balls.
Had a talk like this. Yeah, where you're put in the spot to see, okay, well, do I have any underlying things that I should address? Like, is there something missing in my life?
Oh, I mean, if you're trying to put me on the spot about one of those things, I could definitely say like me being selfish is one of them.
You're selfish?
What?
Well, explain.
Well,
transform, bro.
There's this guy. Okay, I don't think I'm as selfish as I used to be. I used to be way more selfish than I am now.
Okay.
I used to be like selfish with money, especially, or with like food. Actually, money, food, like just random shit. I guess it wasn't specific to either of those two. But there was this guy I met in nursing school, and this dude literally like would never ask me for anything. He'd just be like, "Hey man, you want to get something? Yo, I got it. Yo, put your fucking wallet away." Like he would literally threaten to beat me up if I offered to pay.
Yeah.
So like I'd never encountered someone like this in my life.
Yeah.
And this guy, like, I mean, his family was like well off, so I guess that was part of it too. He would literally always pay for everything. And I just got so accustomed to it. I was like, man, this is like a really like different perspective to have where you're just like not even thinking about it. You're just like, yo, I got you. Yo, I got you. Like, wow, these people exist. So it kind of made me be like, man, I gotta stop being so selfish. Like, I gotta be like willing to like pay for shit more, to like tip more, like just in general, not be so fucking, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was it'd be interesting to see where that came from, you know. And I could probably tie it into like me, like, you know, my family moving to Canada, like when I was 9, and us coming from like Nigeria, which is like third world country. So it's probably a bunch of that shit.
Yeah,
Not
man.
like we were like poor or anything, but like we certainly like weren't like well off, or you know,
Yeah, man.
when we moved here. So it's like that probably has a lot to do with. So that's just like one example, you know.
Can I share?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, dude, I get it. Like, Philippines, third world as well. We come here. Basically, they sold off what they could. Parents sold off what they could, and everything we owned, and like not just possession, but all our finances, we just up and left and brought it to Canada. So that's what we had. Our family, everything that we had was on us.
Yeah.
And yet and not that we were poor, but maybe to Canadian Toronto standards at the time, we were lower class.
Low income, yeah.
Financial, right? So it's not even like it was the value of like be selfish or like make sure your money stays with you. Don't ever get cheated. That wasn't like taught to, like it wasn't a value that was taught to us willingly from our parents, but it was the okay, this is how much we have. We have to be mindful of how much we have because we can't go over budget. We gotta be humble. We gotta be careful with the finances. So it was just the notion of counting. Like we counted everything. We had a budget for like gifts, and it was like tiny, man. Like we were just kids. I was like 5, right? But like for Christmas, right? We were like, the value they were trying to teach us was like, it doesn't matter how much it is. It's just the gesture, the thought. So we were all given $1, a $1 budget for each other.
Damn.
We went to Byway, like a dollar store, went to like the bottom where things were like 10 cents, 20 cents. So we could buy multiple things. And it felt great. Like we were very much happy with the sentiment that because we were kids, we didn't know what wealth was. You know, we knew gifts, we knew presence and like ownership, but we didn't know wealth. So what we were taught here though was the value of counting everything. And then tips, oh man, tips, you would say in the standards too, like it was cheap tips, like the minimum, right? And I grew up like this. I'm like, okay, over time counting this, and I know that more I'm saving each time, that little bit that I'm not tipping is coming back to me, and it'll accumulate, and then I'm gonna have more wealth. It's better off, right? But it was so technical. There was no gesture of like, did they do a great job? Did they deserve this kind of thing? You know, like, and like generosity is hard to teach when you're like that. Like, how can you be generous if you're constantly counting? And it was, guy, I completely relate, and I know exactly what you're saying because I felt that too. And it wasn't until I fell in, no, I didn't fall into more wealth, but once I earned my own money, and like I felt comfortable in my financial space, where I started to feel okay, okay, I get it now. I can redefine the value of this tip. I can redefine the value of budgets. Is it really what I grew up learning it was? Like that's a big step, man. Yeah, for sure. If that's what you want to address, like you gotta, yeah, that makes complete sense. That's where it came from. I can't see it coming from anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, like I was even thinking, like now, like it's funny, like when I used to go to the mall with my mom, the grocery store with my mom. There'd always be this shit that she would never buy. That I'd always be like, yo, fuck.
Wait, what else? I missed that last one.
So like there would always be like shit in the aisles that I'd want to get that that she would just like not buy, or maybe she wouldn't buy like that often.
Yeah.
So like all the cereal would always be like some fucking brand shit, Raisin Bran. She would never buy like Frosted Flakes, or if she bought it,
it was just plain Kellogg's, like, man. Just cornflakes.
Fucking Weetabix.
I was like, yo,
I'm
but
like,
Vector is good. I was like, yo, Vector's expensive, not corn. Just how about corn pops? Not too expensive. Kellogg's.
And I was like, man, as soon as I fucking makes money, I'm gonna buy all this fucking cereal.
Gonna buy some cereal, dude. Dude, when I was able to start affording Reese peanut butter puffs and like tricks and stuff. Yo, that changed my life too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess like it helps to identify where these things come from, because then you can like be like, oh shit, I actually don't have to operate like this.
Well, in one thing, like I think it's a valuable thing to address, because it does make you humble. Like I think it helps with humility. Your humble beginnings, right? It lets you appreciate the kind of lifestyle you had a lot more because of that value that it's ingrained in you, that now you can not take liberty with, but at least you know that it came from a good place. You don't have to look back at it and be resentful of it. You can see the value in it and see that it came from a good place, and it won't be so hard to, like, again, detach and forgive and accept all that shit. You know?
Yeah, definitely need to see a therapist, bro. Fuck.
Dude, you just did it. You just did it. You're done. You're good. You're fixed.
Then we got to talk about my pettiness.
Okay, well, I'll share one last thing though with the whole greed counting thing. So one thing still, and I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it, and I don't think I want to. I'm happy that I do, but debt, not financial debt, but like debt amongst friends, like. Spot you now, you get me later, or like, oh, can I borrow this? And so I'm very technical with debt and loans.
I realized that early.
Yeah. Did we have an episode between us?
No, but like, sorry to cut you off, but like, and that wasn't even a slight. That was me making like an analysis. Because like I forget what it's for. Anyway, because I'm also like that.
Was it the hotel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it? It was that, and maybe something else. But I'm also like that. So like, when you were like texting me back numbers on it and stuff, I was like, oh, this guy's like this too.
Yeah, to the penny, bro. To the penny.
Yeah, man.
Because I know, and that's only when I feel it's. When it's about like fairness and like equal
egalitarianism.
Yeah, right. Like I don't, for personal sake round up for myself, or like round down and stuff. Like, it was like, I have to be precise, and then I give anyone else has the option to change once they know the facts, because this is the facts, right? So, I never forget a debt. Like if someone asks me how much they need. And I'm like, for how long? Like you give me a time frame, right? Because that's part of it. It's not indefinite. Like if it's is it huge? Is it a long time or whatever? And I then I'm like, all right, am I comfortable with this amount for that long? And then I vet. I was like, is this a friend I can trust? Can I anticipate that I'll get it back?
Yeah. So
then once the loan is finally given out or whatever it is, I don't have to write it down. Like, it's like there's a record of it in the conversation. I know when it's due, and if it doesn't come back that day, I'm like a loan shark.
Hey,
Like
man.
I'll be back. Like it's like, yo, this is what you said. Like you know, and I'm stickler. I'm a stickler for that. With that,
Yeah, you'd be a good landlord.
I yeah, probably, or anything. I think anything with
Yeah.
finances, like man, I had to do that, like running ouch and stuff, man. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would come in handy.
Mm.
What's it called? Yeah, there's still a friend of mine that I owe $100 from like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. So you
Yeah, I
haven't
still need to
forgotten.
give it to him. Oh no, I haven't forgotten, and he's
So
forgotten.
yeah.
He has no fucking clue.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna randomly give him $100. Yeah, this is for that rent thing.
So what is the reason like for not having obviously I'm sure you could have paid it back a long time ago.
Yeah, but honestly, like our interactions have been sparse,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's been random, and I haven't thought of it, but like it's there. It's in my brain to give it back to him
Yeah.
because like yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even my parents too. Like my thing is to like if I ever like not if I ever when I make it as like a whatever artist or my creative field, it's like to
Nice.
pay my parents back for like for everything, for like literally every penny.
Yeah. Well, that I mean, I
And
I
then some.
I borrowed from family too. I had to. I'll straight up say
Yeah.
it too. What just happened in the stream? Let me just check. You still there?
Oh shit.
Okay, you're still there. So, I ran an ouch 2K 14 and 13 or 14. And the rule is if you lend money. Sorry, this is chat. The rule is if you lend money to family and friends, don't expect to get it back. Not my fam, bro. Flipstar, not my fam. So yeah, I ran ouch, and I was in huge debt after ouch. Not 2K6,
shit.
we were great, but I had this faith in it that I'm like, I'm gonna front this money for this show,
Oh
but
shit.
I'll get it back, right? So, the thing is, ouch was in November, and everything was, or like maybe October, late October, and there was a snowstorm the day of ouch. So the snowstorm, we fully anticipated like probably 70 to 80% of that audience was gonna be day of purchase at the door. So all the prepaid, all like the
shit.
purchase in advance was not gonna be enough to cover the cost of the show. And then when the snowstorm hit, dude, I was like, oh no, like there goes all the revenue for the show. And yeah, I was in huge debt after 2K
Fuck, man.
2K13. But no, I had faith, in time. A number of schools helped bail me out. They were very kind because they understood like the gesture of what the show was, and we were just trying to run it for the kids. So they did help me out there.
Nice.
And I got it back too, and I had to borrow, so just so I wouldn't go under, I wouldn't go negative. Like I was gonna go negative if I didn't borrow in the bank.
Shit.
I put up like at least 15K to 20K for that show.
Woo.
Because
Jesus.
I mean that was the cost, and I put it on my credit card. I was like, all right.
Woo. Lord of mercy.
Never, I won't do that again. But anyway.
Yeah. Don't do that again. Oh shit.
But
yeah.
yo, Flipstar, if you're
Less
still
than
there, the rule is if you lend money to family and friends, don't expect it back to get it back. Deji, what do you think about that? Is that rule make sense in your family? Because it does not. So. It will never happen in my family.
It makes sense in my family because, like, there is that general sentiment of just like kindness and like, yo, it's family. At the same time, though, if it depends on the loan or the amount, I guess, right? Like, or what it's for.
Yeah.
If it's like an older family member doing it for a younger family member for some school shit, for something they have an interest in, they probably don't care about that money. If it's like a cousin renting it to another cousin, or like a sister, or like a fucking random uncle to like a random nephew that's like needing it for like their business, some shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be a little bit more accountability. Like, okay, like what's the return gonna be? Like, how much should I invest? Type thing,
Yeah.
So it depends, right?
Mm.
But I guess if you were to generally ask people,
So, but again, you're saying too, amount matters. You can't just ask for a $10,000 loan and be like, I won't have to pay this back.
yeah, amount definitely matters. You know, but maybe you got some rich uncles.
Well,
So I guess if we're talking about like general average family, whatever, then
yeah.
amount. The higher it goes, the likelihood they probably want that back.
Well, not even just wanting it back, dude, but like I've learned like the whole interest, right? You get a loan from a bank, this percentage, you probably, I don't know, 6%, 3 or 6%. If you just use your credit card, that's like anywhere between 19 to 27%, right? But even if you just borrow $10,000, that's $10,000 that person can't have in their investment where they're earning interest, right? So like that's 10K of maybe 2% that they can't earn because it's in my possession, Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, that in that respect, it's like then I should pay interest on this at least to cover that loss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. The way you just broke it down, I guess like I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I
just thought of it as strictly as like, okay, well, this is the fee for me lending you this money. Type thing.
It wasn't even that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, loan sharks are even worse. You gotta like pay way more. It's like,
oh god, I would never want to run into one of those. What? Okay, we're gonna take your legs.
Yeah, Squid Game, man. Is like that guy was gonna lose his liver or his kidney, or at least one of his kidneys, and it's like, if you don't pay us in 1 month, we'll take one of your kidneys. Like, sign here, and you gotta sign.
You ever seen Repo Man?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, is that with the
Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah. So they get loans for like vital organs to live, and if you can't pay it, they just take it back from you. They just kill you.
Take it back from you.
They're like, all right, well,
spot, yo.
Yeah, dude.
Perform. Oh,
that's crazy.
You don't have money for this heart? Guess what? We're about to perform open heart surgery.
Yo, but when you think about that, they didn't make any money then. Did they make any money then? Did they actually pay?
Yeah.
Like the patients, like
I think
how does that business model make sense? Not only are you losing the time using this organ on somebody who was not paying you, you're also paying the repo men to get it back. That's got to be a pricey job. It's a risky job.
Maybe they pay like a 50%? Down payment, and they had like and then they had like the this amount of time to pay the rest off or whatever, or they had like a subscription.
Oh yeah, I might drop. Hold on, apparently I'm dropping crazy frames right now. Yo, but hold on here. What's happening? Kyle saying stream died. We're gonna test this out, guys. Hopefully it's still up. I'm trying to change some of this stuff. Something running? Hopefully. Oh no. Let's see. You still see it?
Uh-oh.
It still says I'm live.
Let me check.
No notification.
I'm gonna check that.
I mean, we're still in call, so it's not my internet. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Let me
Yeah,
check.
I don't see it on right now.
Says live.
Still works?
Oh, 7 people. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, I see 8 people now. 8%. That should be alright.